Good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's source for proficiency, today's editorial, and the topic is related or the editorial is related to the film industry, a particular dimension that goes with casting couch and also related dimensions against related to the gender discrimination. And today you're going to learn some important words from this editorial. The very first one is vortex. I think we haven't got this in the recent past. You can respond on that, a new word that way. Redact also we have got for the first time. Casting couch, it's all about that. Hatch has two or three meanings. One of the meanings based on this particular context. Repugnant we have got a few times. Euphemism I've said many a time. And coming to writing skill, because from today, the analysis is going to be from civil services point of view, but useful for all exams. And I'll be focusing on, if you take UPSC civil services exam, English point of view, there are three papers. One is CSAT, you have English. The second, compulsory paper at the time of mains. At the time of mains, again, essay paper. Essay paper, 250 marks. So I'll be touching all these dimensions, but all said and done, I would like to reiterate whatever analysis I'm going to do, whatever vocabulary I'm going to present, grammar I'm going to touch, will be useful for all competitive exams. No second thoughts about that. And today, if you wish to improve your writing skill, you should write about the film industry. But when it comes to film industry, definitely there are two or three streams how to deal with the topic. But let us see. When I go to that particular slide, I will talk about how to write about the film industry, what is the intellectual approach, what is a layman's approach. Coming to effective English, we have a few phrasal verbs. Based on the time factor, I may touch, I may not touch, because here the focus is mainly on comprehension skill and vocabulary and writing skill. Yield up, win through, vouch for, twitter away, swear by. Let us go to editorial vocabulary. Civil services point of view or any competitive exam point of view, when it comes to reading, when it comes to comprehending, when it comes to writing, when it comes to speaking, vocabulary matters a lot. The words are very important because in English we have only a few sentence patterns. With these patterns, we can make thousands of sentences, but the words are 8 lakh words are there. It's an ocean. So let us see what the first word is catalyst. Catalyst, part of speech, noun. Actually, it's a term that goes with chemistry, but it also goes with effective English or everyday English. What does it mean? A person or a thing that precipitates an event or change. You can also think of it this way: a person or thing who or which brings about some change, make something happen, make something happen. The new policy acted as a catalyst for social reform. Imagine social reform took place, and what is the reason behind? What is the catalyst behind? The new policy acted as a catalyst for social reform. Synonyms: stimulus. I usually use every day stimulus to write the editorial. Spark, impetus, trigger. Trigger is a simple word, and spark is also a simple word. But you got to remember stimulus and impetus. Those are important words. And something makes, imagine some force or some person brings about the change, but something on the other hand stops. Then what are the words you're supposed to use? Hindrance, deterrent, obstacle. We have got many a time familiar words. Vortex, an important word I think we haven't got in the recent past. Part of speech, noun. A mass of whirling fluid or air, especially a whirlpool or whirlwind. There are two words you have to know here. One is a whirlpool, a whirlwind. Vortex is nothing but imagine something goes round and round. And if it is related to water, we say whirlpool. If it is related to wind, we say whirlwind. Then you have to recollect based on the second one, based on the latter, you have to think of tornado. Tornado is nothing but a wind going round and round, that is known as whirlwind, and a better word, tornado. In the US, they also call this twister, I suppose. There is a common term for that. Look at the example. The boat was sucked into the vortex of the whirlpool. In the ocean, perhaps. Whirlpool, maelstrom, this is an important word. Maelstrom, eddy, an important word. These two are common words, so you have to focus on these two words, which are important. Calm, stillness, stability. And redact we have got for the first time, I suppose, part of speech verb. It's a regular verb. Edited or revised, especially to obscure or remove sensitive information. Imagine there's a piece of text and you try to edit that one, then we use the term redact. The classified document was heavily redacted before being released to the public, obviously, because it is classified. Classified has two or three meanings. When you read the newspaper, you come across the ads, the short ads, classified ads. But actually, classified also means there's another meaning. What does it mean? Confidential. Classified information means confidential information that you have to know. Censored, edited, revised, expurgated. We have got this word, very important word you have to remember. It goes with editing. Released, uncensored, unedited. Casting couch. Today's editorial is all about this. What is this casting couch? It goes with the film industry. I'm sure you all know. Part of speech, noun. Do remember it's a compound noun. A noun is usually one word, but in English we have some nouns which have about two or three words, and nouns with two or three words are known as compound nouns. And this is a compound noun. The demand of sexual favors by someone in a position of power in exchange for career advancement, especially in the entertainment industry. It does not happen in other industries to the extent it happens in the film industry. So it goes in a way with the film industry. The casting couch is a dark reality of the film industry that many are trying to expose. Of late, many actresses are trying to expose this particular problem, and it is in the limelight. Sexual coercion, coerce means to force, exploitation, quid pro quo. This is also a very important expression, foreign expression you have to remember. What is the opposite? Merit based advancement, ethical treatment, or talent based, you can also say. Hatch has two different meanings. I'm sure hatch, you all know. It goes with eggs. After the incubation period, the eggs are hatched. That is a different meaning altogether. But based on the context, here, editorial, it's a verb. It is a regular verb. It means to create or devise. Here it is a verb form. You have to remember. Vice is a noun form. To create or devise a plan, typically one that is secret or devious. Example, they hatched a plan. Usually it goes with a plan or collusion. It has a negative connotation. Here you can look at the key words. They hatched a plan to surprise a friend on her birthday. This is also in a way acceptable. But in English, there's something called usage. It has a negative connotation. Sometimes it goes with a positive connotation. Conceive, devise, plot, plan. Neglect, ignore, overlook. Repugnant, we have got a few times, part of speech adjective. Extremely distasteful. You can also think of the word disgusting, unacceptable, or offensive. His repugnant behavior made everyone uncomfortable, means not in good taste. Disgusting, aberrant, vile, offensive. Offensive is a simple word, but you got to remember these three words: disgusting, aberrant, vile. Pleasant, acceptable, delightful, agreeable, decent, also you can say. Conflate, again, an important word we have got for the first time in the recent past. Part of speech verb, to combine or mix two or more things, often resulting in confusion or loss of distinction. Confusing, from in a way you can relate this with conflate, confuse. The report conflates the issues of poverty and education, treating them as the same problem. Poverty and education, treating them as the same problem, that results in chaotic situation or confusion. Merge, blend, mix, confuse. Separate, distinguish, differentiate. Behave is also an important word. Good morning, rather late. Part of speech verb. It is a duty or responsibility for someone to do something. It is appropriate or necessary. In a way, you can say it is like a responsibility or obligation. It behoves us all to be vigilant and report any suspicious activity. It is an obligation, definitely. From now on, it is going to be at 5:30 English one. See, I'm going to do two sessions, morning 5:30 to 6, the Hindu Editorial Analysis from civil services point of view, and 6 to 6:30 or 6:40 in Telugu. That's a different thing. There I touch other dimensions which are extremely useful for all competitive exams, especially banks and SSC. Be incumbent upon, be necessary for, be expected of. Disregard, neglect, ignore. Now let us go to the actual editorial, today's editorial related to the film industry, a particular problem, exploitation at the workplace in the film industry, and popularly known as, rather notoriously known as, casting couch. And where does it help when it comes to competitive exams, including civil services, passage, definitely comprehension based questions you can answer. These go with other exams, but compulsory paper also. This awareness will definitely help. Before we go to the editorial analysis, let us start the question. Let us start the session with the question. This particular part of the session with the question: what is this editorial about? The editorial discusses the HEMA committee report, which was established to investigate the issues faced by women in the Malayalam film industry. Though it talks about Malayalam film industry, generally speaking, it goes with almost all the film industries. What is the tone? Because it deals with exploitation of a particular gender, it has to be critical, no second thoughts about that. The tone of the editorial is critical and advocative. Advocate means suggest or say something in a way, presenting the ideas for good, providing the solution for a particular problem. Editorial stimulus. Now, coming to the editorial, every editorial has a reason behind to, or every newspaper has a reason behind to write about a particular issue. That particular incident or event or issue becomes a stimulus. And this is based on a particular report or committee report. What is a stimulus? Catalyst for change, the force behind that brings about the change. On the HEMA committee report and Malayalam film industry. What is the main idea? The HEMA committee report should help reform the film industry. There are two things you got to focus here based on the exam point of view. One, you have to know for sure the functions of the helping verb should. It has two functions. One, it is used to advise or suggest to someone. Here, the editorial suggestion or advice. And help is a causative verb. In active voice, it does not take the preposition to. This is very important. You got to remember. A common error they have given in many exams. The HEMA committee report should help to reform. To reform is wrong. Help reform the film industry. Let us go to English comprehension inputs, the actual editorial. At different points of time, an important phrase you have to remember, come events that have the potential to shape the future. If you look at the history, obviously, sometimes you come across certain incidents or events, they act as milestones, and some incidents or events, they make an impact and they bring about the change, or they have the potential to shape the future. This talks about that. At different points of time, come events that have the potential to shape the future. This is based on the committee report. Whether these catalysts fulfill that potential to the fullest extent or not is in the hands of the people in their vortex. Whether these are catalysts, the reports, whether they can bring about a complete change or the potential to the fullest extent or not is in the hands of the people in their vortex. The Justice K. Hema Committee report that studied the issues faced by women in cinema could well be the one such catalyst. As I said, this catalyst, what is the catalyst here? It is the report, the K. Hema Committee report. It has the potential to bring about the change in the future. But to what extent, we have to wait and watch. The three-member committee was constituted in 2017 based on a petition submitted by the Kerala-based Women in Cinema Collective and submitted its reports 2 years later. It was released last week. It was submitted. When was it submitted? 2017, then 2 years later, and revealed or disclosed or made public last week. It was released. This is in past tense passive voice. It was released last week. Several paragraphs redacted means they edited and contains unsurprising and yet disturbing revelations. Reveal is a verb form, revelation is a noun form. Contains, because all expected, it's an open secret, everyone knows what exactly happens. Contains unsurprising yet contrasting word, disturbing revelations about the state of affairs in the film industry. What are those things? Discrimination, exploitation, and sexual harassment of women. The term casting couch hatched in Hollywood. This is from the Hollywood. What is this Hollywood? The film industry in the US. In the state of California, there's a particular place that is known as Hollywood where you have all the film industry, the studios and all. The term casting couch hatched in Hollywood started there, has become present perfect active voice, repugnantly accepted as a euphemism for sexual favors. Euphemism, we have got so many times. Means what? To say something that is harsh in a nice way. You say something harsh in a nice way, that is euphemism. He died, it sounds very harsh. He passed away, that sounds better. This is nothing but casting couch is a euphemism for sexual favors in exchange for a role in films. Justice Hema points out that making the exchange of sexual favors the passkey for entry into the field itself, passkey, the key or the code, not exactly key here, passkey means a code for entry into the field itself, and normalizing it, conflating, confusing it with consensual sexual activity. Consensual means willingly. That is different. Threatening, intimidating, and getting the sexual favors is a different thing altogether. Conflating it with consensual sexual activity makes the industry inherently exploitative. The report deals also with other inequities and disadvantage women in the industry, including the lack, they have other problems, including the lack of essential facilities such as toilets, changing rooms, safe transportation, and accommodation at the shooting spot, which are violative of the right to privacy. All these come under uh, right to privacy. They are being violated. And discrimination in remuneration, hitting below the belt, discrimination in remuneration, and a lack of binding contractual agreements. These affect the range of women across the industry: actors, technicians, makeup artists, dancers, support staff, and particularly so, women in the lower pecking order. Pecking order means a hierarchy. Hierarchy. It is known as pecking order. So all these are affected. What does the second part of the editorial say? The second part says the way ahead is not a murky as a whole that the film industry. As murky as means something negative or bad. As a whole that the film industry, here Malayalam seems to find itself in. Not that bad, only here and there, perhaps stray incidents. The government has decided, present perfect active voice, to constitute a special investigation team to go into the accusations of harassment. Harass means to trouble, to intimidate. While the government would do well to ignore the committee's recommendation on doing away with internal complaints committees for each film project, Internal complaints committees for each film project. That is, we're going very deep into it. They cannot do that. They can't afford to do it because of the time factor and other factors. But one thing they must do. What is that? The government must do. What is that? It must act on suggestions that call for, that demand for provision of essential facilities and for structural reforms within the film industry, including professionalizing it. Professionalism is very important. Nothing will change unless the state gets involved meaningfully in creating an equitable workspace for men and women. That is very important. In an industry dominated by people with great power and money, film industry is known for two things. One is power, more than power, money, who have so far refuted, means denied, the existence of such a power cartel. Cartel means a group of people, syndicate. They try to control the industry or the field, or have remained silent. Each of the issues raised must be taken cognizance of, means be aware of, and acted upon. They have to act upon all these things. As with the Me Too movement, Justice Hema's report has a potential of being a catalyst to enable scores of women, many women, to speak up. They have to speak up, they have to disclose their sufferings. How does the editorial end? It behoves the state to ensure that their complaints are not ignored or, worse still, used against them. They have to make sure the complaints are not used against them, but they should find solutions for these. That's all about today's editorial. And try to answer these five questions. What was the primary focus of the Justice K. Hema Committee report? Economic reforms in the film industry, issues faced by women in cinema, technological advancements, cultural representation. No. Answer is the second option. What is a casting couch often used as a euphemism for in the film industry? Sexual harassment in exchange for roles, clearly mentioned. Which group submitted the petition that led to the formation of the Hema Committee? Kerala State Film Industry Development Corporation. Women in which group submitted the petition? That is Women in Cinema Collective. It is not any of these. What issues apart from sexual harassment were highlighted in the report concerning women in the Malayalam film industry? Besides the sexual harassment, they face other problems. What are those? Lack of essential facilities, discrimination in remuneration, lack of binding contracts. Answer is B. What potential impact does the editorial suggest the Hema Committee report could have, similar to a past movement? Economic growth, no. Establishing stricter censorship rules, no. Catalyzing a movement like Me Too, enabling more women to speak up, clearly mentioned in the passage. That's all for today. Today I've done the regular way, and I wanted to check the time. Let us see, improvement can be done. Tomorrow it may be same or different. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. And